The secretary came to deliver a report to the Millionaire and froze when she saw his childhood photo in a black frame. Rachel Jennings straightened her pencil skirt and took a deep breath before knocking on the imposing mahogany door of Daniel Monroe's private office. Few employees had ever stepped inside this sanctum of power, and fewer still had lived to tell about it without tears in their eyes. The Monroe Mansion, which doubled as headquarters for the family's vast business empire, had always intimidated her. But today the stakes were higher than usual. "Enter," came the curt command from within. Rachel pushed open the heavy door, clutching the urgent financial report to her chest like a shield. At 28, she'd worked her way up from temp to executive assistant through sheer determination. But 3 months into working directly for Daniel Monroe, she still couldn't predict his mercurial moods. "The quarterly projections you requested, Mr. Monroe," she said, her voice steady despite the nervous flutter in her stomach. Daniel Monroe barely looked up from his computer, his silver-streaked dark hair falling across his forehead as he frowned at whatever he was reading. At 52, he carried the weight of his empire in the lines around his eyes, but remained undeniably handsome in that way. Wealthy men often managed to be despite their flaws. "Just leave it on the desk," he muttered, gesturing vaguely toward the massive mahogany expanse that separated them. Rachel moved forward, her heels sinking into the plush carpet as she placed the folder down. Her eyes wandered across the meticulously organized surface. Crystal paperweights, an antique fountain pen set, and a single framed photograph facing away from her. Something about that lonely frame drew her attention. Perhaps it was how it stood apart from the business artifacts, a personal touch in a room that otherwise revealed nothing of the man who occupied it. Daniel abruptly rose from his chair. "I need to step out for a moment. Wait here. I'll have questions about the Henderson acquisition when I return." He strode from the room, leaving Rachel alone in the forbidden sanctuary. She remained motionless for several seconds after the door closed, listening to his retreating footsteps. The silence that followed felt like permission. She shouldn't touch anything. She knew better, and yet, Rachel reached for the frame, telling herself she was merely straightening it. But as her fingers touched the cool metal, she turned it just enough to glimpse the image within. Time stopped. The breath froze in her lungs as she found herself staring at a black-framed photograph of a little girl, perhaps 5 years old, with a gap-toothed smile and familiar hazel eyes. Her hazel eyes. "This isn't possible," she whispered, hands trembling as she picked up the frame for a closer look. The girl in the photo wore a yellow sundress, standing before a garden of vibrant flowers and an ornate fountain that tugged at the edges of Rachel's memory. But it was unmistakably her. The same photo that had been destroyed 23 years ago when fire consumed St. Hope's home, the orphanage where she'd spent her childhood. Fragments of memory flashed through her mind, the acrid smell of smoke, screaming children, Sister Margaret hurrying them outside in the middle of the night. The devastation of learning that all records, all traces of who they had been before arriving at St. Hope's, had been reduced to ash, all except this photograph, apparently, which was now in Daniel Monroe's private office. The room suddenly felt too small, the walls closing in. Rachel's mind raced with impossible questions. How did her childhood photo end up here? Why would her enigmatic, often cold employer keep it? What connection could possibly exist between them? She studied Daniel Monroe's office with new eyes, noticing details she'd overlooked before. The garden visible through the window shared elements with the one in the photograph. Similar landscaping, the same style of stone pathways. Had she been here before? In another life? A noise in the hallway startled her back to reality. Rachel hastily returned the frame to its original position, her heart hammering against her ribs. But instead of Daniel, Andrew Monroe appeared in the doorway, where Daniel was unpredictable fire. His younger brother Andrew was calculating ice, always impeccably dressed, his thin-lipped smile never reaching his eyes. Andrew served as the company's CFO, and as office gossip suggested, the true power behind the throne. "Miss Jennings," he said, his tone pleasant but his gaze sharp. "I wasn't aware my brother had scheduled a meeting with you." Rachel straightened, professional mask sliding back into place. "Just dropping off the quarterly projections, Mr. Monroe. Your brother asked me to wait." Andrew's eyes flickered to the photograph before returning to her face. Something unreadable passed across his features. Recognition. Concern. For a moment she thought he might comment on her flushed cheeks or trembling hands. But instead, he merely nodded. "I'll tell Daniel you were called away to another urgent matter. The foster contracts need immediate attention." It wasn't a suggestion. Rachel recognized a dismissal when she heard one. "Of course, Mr. Monroe. I'll get right on that." As she moved to leave, Andrew casually positioned himself between her and the desk, as though shielding the photograph from further inspection. The gesture seemed oddly protective, or possessive. Rachel made her way through the mansion's labyrinthine corridors, her mind whirling. The familiar sense of displacement that had followed her since childhood intensified. The grand hallways with their gilded mirrors and ancestral portraits no longer felt merely intimidating. They felt hauntingly familiar. She paused at a window overlooking the East Gardens, where an elegant woman in a flowing dress sat painting at an easel, attended by a nurse, Elizabeth Monroe, Daniel's wife, rarely seen by the staff and rumored to be fragile since a tragedy decades ago. Rachel had glimpsed her occasionally from a distance, but had never spoken to her. As though sensing she was being watched, Elizabeth looked up, her brush pausing mid-stroke. For one electric moment, their eyes met across the distance. Elizabeth's expression changed, her features registering something like recognition, before her attendant gently redirected her attention to the canvas. "Quite the coincidence, isn't it?" a male voice said behind her. Rachel turned to find Logan Reynolds watching her with undisguised interest. Tall and athletic with perpetually tousled dark hair, he'd arrived at the mansion 2 weeks ago, his presence unexplained but his connection to the family evident in how he moved through the house with casual familiarity. "What coincidence?" she asked, wary. He nodded toward Elizabeth. "You both have the same eyes, unusual shade." Before Rachel could respond, her phone buzzed with a message from Andrew. "Foster contracts on your desk, priority." Whatever mysteries lurked in this house would have to wait. But as Rachel hurried back to her office, she couldn't shake the feeling that she'd stumbled upon the first piece of a puzzle she'd been trying to solve her entire life. The puzzle of who she really was. In the shadows of a corridor, unnoticed by either Rachel or Logan, Jack Reynolds watched their interaction with haunted eyes. After 23 years of searching, he'd finally found her. Now came the hard part, keeping her alive long enough to learn the truth. Over the next week, Rachel found herself hyper-aware of the Monroe mansion's rhythms and routines. She timed her arrivals to coincide with Daniel's morning meetings, giving her precious minutes to sift through file cabinets in search of anything connecting her to the family. So far, she'd found nothing but real estate holdings and acquisition reports. "You're playing a dangerous game," she muttered to herself, carefully closing a drawer in Daniel's office. The photograph haunted her, but she hadn't dared touch it again. Not with Andrew's increasingly watchful eye. Her phone buzzed with a text from Olivia, her roommate, still coming to happy hour. "You've been Maya all week." Rachel sighed. How could she explain that her entire identity felt like quicksand beneath her feet? Instead, she typed, "Rain check, buried in work." The door swung open unexpectedly, and Rachel nearly dropped her phone. "Something interesting in those files?" Daniel Monroe asked, his tone unreadable. "Just updating the Henderson acquisition records, sir," she said smoothly, holding up a folder she'd kept ready for precisely this scenario. Daniel studied her for a long moment, his eyes unusually clear today. Some days he seemed razor-sharp, his business instincts legendary. Other days, a fog seemed to descend, leaving him disoriented and irritable. Today appeared to be one of his good days. "You remind me of someone," he said suddenly. Rachel's pulse quickened. "Do I?" Before he could answer, Andrew appeared in the doorway, a small paper cup in hand. "Your medication." "Daniel, doctor's orders." He smiled thinly. "Miss Jennings, didn't you have that conference call with Tokyo?" The dismissal was clear. As Rachel slipped past Andrew, she noticed the pills in the cup, small white tablets that didn't match the prescription bottles she'd glimpsed in Daniel's desk, back at her desk. Rachel opened a private browser window. For days, she'd resisted the urge to search for information about St. Hope's home, afraid of what she might find. Now she typed quickly, "St. Hope's Home Orphanage Fire 2002. The results loaded. Newspaper articles about a tragic electrical fire, quotes from tearful nuns about lost records, lists of children relocated to other facilities, nothing she didn't already know. No mention of the Monroe family. A shadow fell across her screen, and Rachel quickly closed the window. Logan Reynolds leaned against her desk, arms crossed. "Researching local history?" he asked with a knowing look. "Just curious about the area," she replied carefully. "What brings you to my desk, Mr. Reynolds?" "Logan, please." He grinned, boyishly charming in a way that contrasted with the guarded look in his eyes. "I'm headed to the East Wing to check on Elizabeth. Thought you might want to join me." "Why would I want that?" Rachel asked, ignoring the strange pull she'd felt toward the enigmatic woman since their brief visual exchange. "Because you've been looking for excuses to go there all week," he said simply. "I've noticed." Rachel hesitated. As Daniel's executive assistant, she could conceivably have business in any part of the mansion. But the East Wing, Elizabeth's domain, remained largely off-limits. "I have a delivery for her," Logan added, holding up a small package. "Better than sneaking around alone, right?" It was a trap or an opportunity. Either way, Rachel decided to take the risk. Lead the way. The East Wing felt like stepping into another era. Softer, wrapped in memories and quiet luxury. Sunlight streamed through tall windows, illuminating paintings that Rachel realized were Elizabeth's work. Landscapes, gardens, and recurring images of a little girl whose face was always turned away or obscured. She was quite talented before. Logan trailed off. "Before what?" "The tragedy," he said vaguely. "Family doesn't discuss it. They found Elizabeth in a sunroom, her nurse arranging tea. Up close, Rachel could see the fine lines around the older woman's eyes, the silver threads in her honey blonde hair, and, most strikingly, the vacant look that occasionally crossed her otherwise intelligent features. "Mrs. Monroe," Logan greeted her warmly. "I've brought your art supplies and a new visitor." Elizabeth's gaze drifted to Rachel, focusing with visible effort. "You're Daniel's new assistant." "Yes, ma'am." Rachel Jennings. Something flickered in Elizabeth's eyes. Recognition, confusion, pain. "Rachel," she repeated softly, as though testing the name. "Have we met before?" Before Rachel could respond, the nurse intervened. "Mrs. Monroe needs her medication now." "Of course," Logan replied smoothly. "We'll come back another time." As they left, Rachel noticed the nurse adding several pills to Elizabeth's tea, not unlike the ones Andrew had brought Daniel. A pattern was emerging, one that made her increasingly uneasy. Back in the main hallway, Logan stopped abruptly. "Be careful with your questions, Rachel. Some doors in this house are locked for a reason. Are you warning me or threatening me?" "Take it how you will." His expression softened fractionally. "Just know you're not the only one looking for answers." Later that afternoon, Rachel was sorting through contract amendments when Daniel emerged from his office, coat in hand. "I'll be at the downtown office for the rest of the day," he announced, his speech slightly slurred. His clear-eyed focus from earlier had vanished, replaced by the fog that so often clouded his demeanor after Andrew's visits. Rachel nodded, watching as he walked unsteadily toward the door. Andrew materialized, as he often did, taking his brother's elbow with a concerned expression that didn't reach his eyes. "Allow me to drive you, Daniel," he insisted. "You're clearly fatigued." As they departed, Rachel slipped into Daniel's empty office. This time, she headed straight for his desk drawer, carefully examining the prescription bottles she'd glimpsed earlier. The labels showed medications she didn't recognize, prescribed by a Dr. Anton Mercer. She quickly photographed the labels with her phone before returning everything to its exact position. On her way out, her gaze lingered on the photograph of her younger self. What connection did it hold to her past? And why did Daniel keep it close? That night, alone in her apartment, Rachel researched the medications from Daniel's drawer. Most were powerful antipsychotics and sedatives, far stronger than would be prescribed for ordinary stress or anxiety. The dosages listed were alarmingly high. Her phone rang, the caller ID showing an unfamiliar number. "Hello?" she answered cautiously. "Rachel Jennings." A man's voice, gravelly intense. "Don't say anything, just listen. You're in danger. The photo you found, it wasn't meant for you to see." Her blood ran cold. "Who is this?" "Jack Reynolds. I worked security for the Monroes years ago." A pause. "I knew you when you were little. How did you get this number?" Rachel demanded. "That doesn't matter. What matters is that Andrew Monroe has noticed you're snooping. And that's not safe for anyone. The medications. The locked rooms, Elizabeth's condition. It's all connected. Rachel's mind raced. Connected to what? To what happened 23 years ago. To who you really are. Jack's voice dropped lower. Meet me tomorrow night at Riverside Cafe. 8 o'clock. Come alone. And Rachel, don't trust anyone in that house. Especially not my son. Your son, Rachel echoed, confusion mounting. Who? Logan, Jack said grimly. He doesn't know I'm his father. And he doesn't know what Andrew is capable of. The line went dead, leaving Rachel staring at her phone, the pieces of the puzzle rearranging themselves into an even more frightening pattern. From his car parked across the street, Andrew Monroe lowered his binoculars, a cold smile playing on his lips as he watched Rachel's silhouette through her apartment window. He reached for his phone. Dr. Mercer, we need to increase Daniel's dosage again, and I think it's time we arranged a little accident for Miss Jennings. The Riverside Cafe buzzed with the usual evening crowd, but Rachel barely registered the ambient chatter as she checked her watch for the 5th time. 8:17 p.m. Jack Reynolds was late. She'd chosen a corner table with a clear view of both entrances, her back against the wall, a precaution that felt necessary after last night's cryptic phone call. The coffee before her had grown cold. Untouched, the door swung open, and Rachel tensed, but it was Logan who walked in, scanning the cafe with purpose. Their eyes met, and his expression hardened. He made a beeline for her table. What a coincidence, he said, pulling out the chair opposite hers without invitation. Is it? Rachel countered, the warning bells in her mind growing louder. Jack's words echoed. Don't trust anyone, especially not my son. Logan leaned forward, voice low. Let's cut the crap, Rachel. You're digging into Monroe family business. I want to know why. I could ask you the same question. You show up out of nowhere, wandering the mansion like you own it, asking questions about Elizabeth. I have my reasons, he said, jaw tightening. And they're personal. Rachel studied him closely. The resemblance to Jack was subtle but undeniable, now that she knew to look for it. The same stubborn set of the jaw, the same watchful eyes. Does it have anything to do with your father? She asked, testing the waters. Something flashed across Logan's face. Surprise, quickly masked. My father is dead. Is that what Andrew told you? Logan's expression darkened. What do you know about it? Before Rachel could respond, her phone vibrated with a text from an unknown number. Don't meet with Jack. He's been compromised. Get out now. Rachel's heart pounded as she glanced toward the door. A silver sedan had pulled up outside, and 2 men in nondescript suits were getting out. We need to leave, she said urgently, grabbing her purse. What? Why? Trust me or don't, but I'm going out the back. Something in her tone must have convinced him, because Logan followed without further argument. They slipped through the kitchen, ignoring the protest of startled staff, and out into the alley behind the cafe. My car's around the corner, Logan said, guiding her with a hand on her elbow. Rachel hesitated. How do I know I can trust you? You don't, he admitted. But right now, I'm your best option. He was right. Rachel slid into the passenger seat of his Audi, tension coiling in her stomach as Logan pulled away from the curb. In the rearview mirror, she saw the 2 suited men emerge into the alley, speaking urgently into their earpieces. Who were they? Logan asked, navigating through side streets. I don't know. But they're looking for me. Rachel stared at the cryptic text. Someone named Jack Reynolds was supposed to meet me tonight. He said he knew me when I was a child, that he worked security for your family. Logan's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. Jack Reynolds disappeared years ago. Most people think he's dead. Well, he called me last night, very much alive. He warned me about Andrew. What about Andrew? Rachel weighed her next words carefully. The medications he gives to Daniel and Elizabeth, the way he watches me. And there's more. I found a childhood photo of myself in Daniel's office, from before the orphanage fire that supposedly destroyed all my records. Logan pulled the car into an empty parking lot and cut the engine, turning to face her fully. Start from the beginning. For the next 20 minutes, Rachel detailed everything. The photograph, her fragmented memories, Elizabeth's paintings, the medications, Jack's warning. With each revelation, Logan's expression grew more troubled. So you think you're connected to the Monroes somehow, he said when she finished. That's why you took the job. No, Rachel corrected him. I had no idea until I saw that photograph. I needed the job. Prestigious company, good pay. The connection was unexpected. Logan ran a hand through his hair, a gesture that reminded her again of the man she'd never met. This is going to sound crazy, but I came back for similar reasons. I grew up being told Daniel Monroe was my biological father, the result of an affair he barely remembered. And now you don't believe it. I found documents suggesting the timeline doesn't match, and there are other inconsistencies. He hesitated. I've been reducing Daniel's medication when Andrew isn't looking. Just slightly, to see if his mental state improves. Rachel stared at him, surprised. I was planning to do the same. A moment of understanding passed between them. Two outsiders, drawn to the same mystery from different angles. We should work together, Logan said finally. Compare notes, watch each other's backs. And if one of us is playing the other... He smiled grimly. Then may the best liar win. It wasn't trust exactly, but it was a start. They exchanged phone numbers, agreeing to use a simple code word if either felt threatened. Where to now? Logan asked, starting the car again. I need to check on something at the mansion. It's nearly 10. No one will be in the offices. That's counting on, Rachel said. The mansion was quiet when they arrived. Most of the staff gone for the night. Using her access card, Rachel led Logan to the medical supply room adjacent to Elizabeth's wing. What are we looking for? He whispered. Medication logs. If Andrew is drugging them, there should be records. They worked methodically through filing cabinets until Logan held up a thick binder. Found it. The log detailed years of treatments for both Daniel and Elizabeth, signed by Dr. Mercer and countersigned by Andrew. The dosages had increased steadily over time, with notes about episodes and memory incidents that required adjustment. Jesus, Logan muttered, photographing pages with his phone. This isn't treatment, it's chemical imprisonment. A noise in the hallway froze them both. Rachel quickly replaced the binder, and they slipped behind a supply cabinet just as the door opened. Elizabeth's nurse wheeled in a medication cart, humming softly to herself as she prepared evening doses. Her practiced movement suggested a routine performed countless times. When she left, Rachel crept forward to examine the prepared medications. These don't match the prescribed doses in the log, they're even higher. Andrew's escalating, Logan said grimly. But why? The answer came the next morning. When Rachel arrived to find the office in an unusual flurry of activity, executives in tailored suits moved with purpose, and administrative staff whispered in clusters. What's happening? She asked Diane, Daniel's other assistant. Emergency board meeting, Diane whispered back. Something about accelerating the succession plan. Andrew's making his move to take over as CEO. Rachel felt a chill. If Andrew succeeded, Daniel would lose whatever protection his position provided, and Elizabeth would be completely at Andrew's mercy. And Rachel herself, if she truly had a claim to the Monroe legacy, she'd become an even greater threat. She needed to find Jack Reynolds. Compromised or not, he had answers she desperately needed. But first she had to warn Elizabeth. Using a file delivery as pretense, Rachel hurried to the East Wing. She found Elizabeth alone in her sunroom, staring vacantly at an unfinished painting of a garden scene with a child's silhouette. Elizabeth? Rachel said softly, setting down her files. My name is Rachel Jennings. I need to talk to you about the medications you're taking. Elizabeth turned slowly, her gaze gradually focusing. Rachel, she repeated, the same strange recognition flickering in her eyes. You have her smile. Whose smile? Elizabeth reached for Rachel's face with trembling fingers, stopping just short of touching her cheek. My daughter's, my little girl. In that moment of clarity, both women felt the connection between them, tangible, undeniable, and dangerous to the man who had worked for decades to keep them apart. Outside the door, Andrew Monroe watched through the security feed on his tablet, his face a mask of cold fury as he reached for his phone. Dr. Mercer, we have a problem. Rachel's hands trembled as she drove home that evening, Elizabeth's words echoing in her mind. My daughter, my little girl. It couldn't be possible. And yet, a part of her had always felt the emptiness of belonging nowhere. To no one. Her phone rang, startling her. Unknown number. Hello, she answered cautiously. Corner of Willow and 12th. Payphone. 10 minutes. Jack's voice, tense and hurried. Then silence. Rachel made a quick U-turn. She'd almost given up on hearing from him after the warning text and the men at the cafe. If he was still alive, still willing to talk, she needed to hear what he knew. The payphone stood in a pool of flickering streetlight, a relic from another era. Rachel parked across the street, scanning for suspicious vehicles before approaching. It rang as she reached it. "I'm here," she answered. "Walk east 3 blocks, black sedan, hazards on." Jack hung up, following his instructions. Rachel found the car and slid into the passenger seat. Jack Reynolds looked nothing like she'd imagined. Gaunt and weathered, his face lined with years of worry, but with unmistakable echoes of Logan in his features. "We don't have much time," he said, pulling into traffic. "Andrew's men are everywhere. Those men at the cafe?" "Not mine," Jack interrupted. "I was detained elsewhere. Someone else is watching you." Rachel pressed her back against the seat. "Elizabeth called me her daughter today." Jack's expression remained carefully neutral. "What do you remember from before the orphanage?" "Fragments. A garden. A woman's voice. Sometimes I dream about a fountain with stone angels." "The Monroe Estate fountain," Jack confirmed quietly. "It was your favorite place to play." Rachel's heartbeat quickened. "So it's true. I'm their daughter." Jack took a sharp turn, checking the rearview mirror before answering. "Rachel Monroe disappeared 23 years ago. Official report says she drowned in the lake on the property. Body never recovered. A cover story. Orchestrated by Andrew. I was head of security then. Jack's voice broke slightly. "I was responsible for keeping you safe." The pieces began falling into place. "Andrew arranged my kidnapping." Jack nodded grimly. "Daniel was becoming erratic. Grief, probably. Though Andrew spun it as mental instability, with you gone and Daniel unfit to lead. Andrew positioned himself as the family's savior. But why keep me alive at all? Why not just—" Rachel couldn't finish the thought. "Insurance. If he ever needed a Monroe heir, he could control. You were his backup plan." Jack's hands tightened on the wheel. "I tried to track you after the kidnapping, but the trail went cold. By the time I located St. Hope's, the fire had already happened." "You think Andrew arranged that too?" "I know he did. When I got too close to the truth, he tried to have me killed. I've been underground ever since, gathering evidence." They stopped at a red light, and Jack turned to face her fully. "There's more. The night of your kidnapping, I was distracted. I was meeting Alice, one of the housekeepers. We were in love. Had been for years." Rachel felt a chill of premonition. "Logan's mother." Jack's eyes widened. "How did you—" "He looks like you, and he's searching for answers too." Jack closed his eyes briefly. "I never knew she was pregnant when I had to disappear. Andrew must have used Logan somehow. Another piece in his game." The light changed, and Jack accelerated perhaps a little too quickly. "Andrew's making his move now because Daniel's episodes of clarity are becoming more frequent. If Daniel regains enough control to question the past." A black SUV appeared in the side mirror, closing fast. "We're being followed," Rachel said. Jack swore under his breath, taking a sharp turn onto a side street. "I have documents proving your identity. Birth certificate, DNA test from hair samples I collected, records from the orphanage I salvaged before the fire." "Where?" "Storage unit on the edge of town." He swerved around a delivery truck. "Combination is 230719. "Your birthday." The SUV rammed them from behind, sending them lurching forward. Jack fought for control as a second vehicle appeared, attempting to box them in. "If anything happens to me," Jack shouted over the screeching tires, "find Logan, despite everything. I believe he's a good man. Tell him about Alice. And Rachel." He reached into his jacket and thrust a key into her hand. "This unlocks a safety deposit box at First National. Everything you need is there." Glass shattered as a bullet punched through the rear window. Rachel screamed, ducking low in her seat. "Roll down your window and climb out when I tell you," Jack ordered, veering toward a narrow alley. "What?" "No. Trust me." Jack slammed on the brakes, sending the SUV behind them crashing into their trunk. As their car fishtailed, he shouted, "Now!" Rachel fumbled with the window control, the electric motor whirring too slowly. The car picked up speed again as Jack accelerated toward a crowded intersection. "Jump onto the sidewalk when we slow for the corner," he instructed. Then run. Don't look back. The car slowed fractionally as they approached the turn, heart pounding. Rachel pushed herself halfway out the window, the wind whipping her hair across her face. Jack reached over, helping push her through. Tell Logan I'm sorry, he called after her. I'm proud of... Rachel tumbled onto the sidewalk, rolling painfully across concrete as Jack's sedan squealed around the corner with both SUVs in pursuit. In seconds, they had vanished from sight, bruised and shaken. Rachel staggered to her feet. Pedestrians stared, some asking if she needed help, but she waved them off, clutching the key Jack had given her as she limped toward the main road to hail a taxi. Back at her apartment, she packed essentials with mechanical efficiency. Clothes, toiletries, the cash she kept for emergencies. She couldn't go back to her normal life now, not after what she'd learned, not with Andrew's men hunting her. Her phone buzzed with a text from Logan. Where are you? Andrew's looking for you. Says you attacked Elizabeth. Another lie. Rachel texted back. Not safe to talk. Meet me tomorrow. Storage facility on Route 16, Unit 1907. She hesitated, then added, I met your father. He's alive. Logan's response came quickly. What are you talking about? My father died before I was born. Not Daniel, Jack Reynolds. He says to tell you about Alice. There was a long pause before the reply appeared. I'll be there. 9 a.m. Come alone. Rachel stared at the message, wondering if she was walking into another trap, but she had nowhere else to turn. No one else who might understand what they were facing. A sharp knock at her door sent her pulse racing. She crept silently to the peephole, relief washing over her when she saw her neighbor Mrs. Castillo instead of Andrew's men. Package for you, dear, the elderly woman called through the door. Delivery man left it with me since you weren't home. Rachel opened the door cautiously, accepting the small padded envelope with a forced smile. Thanks, Mrs. Castillo. Alone again, she tore open the package. Inside was a flash drive and a handwritten note. If you're reading this, I didn't make it. Everything you need to know is here. Be careful who you trust. Jack in the distance. Sirens wailed. Rachel plugged the drive into her laptop, hands shaking as files appeared on screen. Medical records, financial transactions, surveillance photos spanning decades. And at the top, a folder labeled simply Rachel. Inside was a single video file dated 23 years ago. She clicked play, and her world collapsed around her. On screen, security camera footage showed a younger Jack carrying a sleeping child. Her, through the Monroe Mansion service entrance. A woman waited in the shadows. Alice. She presumed, taking the child with tears streaming down her face. Behind them, barely visible in the corner of the frame, stood Andrew Monroe, checking his watch with cold detachment. Rachel covered her mouth to stifle a sob. It was real. All of it. She was Rachel Monroe, and her entire life had been built on carefully constructed lies. Outside, a car door slammed. Rachel moved to the window, peering through the blinds to see a black sedan parked across the street. Andrew's men had found her. Rachel slipped out through her building's back entrance, heart pounding against her ribs. The flash drive felt impossibly heavy in her pocket. 23 years of secrets compressed into a single piece of plastic. Rain had begun to fall, providing welcome cover as she ducked into a 24-hour diner 3 blocks away. She ordered coffee she didn't want and opened her laptop, angling the screen away from other patrons. Jack's files were meticulous, financial records showing suspicious transactions between Andrew and Dr. Mercer dating back decades, medical reports documenting the steady increase in Daniel and Elizabeth's medications, and surveillance photos of a young girl at St. Hope's home. One document made her breath catch. A DNA comparison showing a 99.7% parental match between Rachel Jennings and Daniel and Elizabeth Monroe. I'm their daughter, she whispered, the truth settling into her bones. Her phone buzzed with a text from Logan. Change of plans. Meet now. They found Jack's car. No sign of him. Rachel hesitated, then replied, Where? Harbor View Motel. Room 212. Come through the back. Watched. It could be a trap. It probably was. But if Andrew's men had found Jack, she needed allies, and Logan was her only option. The Harbor View Motel lived up to its name only technically. You could see the harbor if you leaned out the 3rd-floor window and craned your neck past the industrial storage facilities. Room 212 was on the 2nd floor, Facing the parking lot, Rachel approached cautiously, noting the black sedan at the far end of the lot, similar to the one outside her apartment. She circled around, climbing the back stairwell as instructed. She knocked softly on 212. The door opened immediately, Logan pulling her inside and checking the walkway before closing and double locking it. "Were you followed?" he demanded. "I don't think so, but they're watching the motel." Logan nodded, tension evident in every line of his body. "I saw them arrive. They're not subtle." The room was sparse but clean, with case files and printouts spread across the bed. Logan had been busy. "Jack's really your father?" he asked abruptly. Rachel nodded. "The resemblance is obvious once you know to look for it." Logan's jaw tightened. "All my life, I was told Daniel Monroe was my father. The result of a one-night stand he was too drunk to remember. Andrew arranged payments to my mother, set up trust funds. The dutiful uncle looking after his brother's mistake. Your mother was Alice. She worked for the Monroes. Housekeeper," Logan confirmed, resuming his pacing. "She never talked about my father, said it was too painful. She died when I was 16. Cancer. Andrew became my guardian." Rachel felt a pang of sympathy. "He used you. Another pawn in his game." "I'm starting to see that." Logan ran a hand through his hair. That same gesture that reminded her so much of Jack. "After law school, Andrew suggested I should reconnect with my roots, come back to the family business. Now I understand why. He's been planning this takeover for years, and having Daniel's son supporting his claim would strengthen his position." Rachel opened her laptop, showing him the files from Jack's flash drive. "There's more. Andrew orchestrated my kidnapping, my placement at St. Hope's, even the fire that destroyed records, all to remove Daniel's legitimate heir and destabilize him mentally." Logan studied the documents, his expression darkening. "These medications, they're not just sedatives. They're designed to induce memory loss, confusion, even mild hallucinations. He's been gaslighting them for decades, keeping them functional but dependent." Rachel agreed. "Elizabeth has moments of clarity, though. She recognized me today." Logan sat heavily on the edge of the bed. "So, you're Rachel Monroe, the drowning victim who never drowned, and you're Jack Reynolds' son, not Daniel's." She hesitated. "There's something else. In the security footage of my kidnapping, both Jack and your mother were there, but they were taking me out of the mansion, not bringing me in, I think. I think they were trying to save me from Andrew." Logan's head snapped up. "What?" Rachel played the video for him. The grainy footage showed Jack carrying the sleeping child through the service entrance, while Alice watched anxiously, but viewed with fresh eyes. Rachel could see their body language wasn't that of kidnappers. It was protective, fearful. "They're looking over their shoulders," Logan noted, "like they're afraid of being caught. And here," Rachel pointed to Andrew's shadowy figure in the corner. "He's checking the time, like this is all happening on a schedule he orchestrated." Logan studied the footage again, eyes narrowed. "If Jack and my mother were trying to protect you, why take you to an orphanage? Why not go to the police? Maybe they tried. Maybe Andrew had too much influence." Rachel closed the laptop. "We need to find Jack. He has the rest of the evidence at his storage unit. If he's still alive," Logan said grimly. The unspoken possibility hung between them. After a moment, Logan reached into his pocket and withdrew a small orange pill bottle. "I took these from Elizabeth's medication tray," he explained. "I've been gradually replacing her doses with placebos I had made. Same with Daniel when I can. It's risky. Sudden withdrawal could be dangerous. But it's working. They're having more lucid moments." Rachel stared at him, reevaluating. "You believe me then about who I am?" "I believe there's enough evidence to warrant investigation." His expression softened slightly. "And there's something about you that feels familiar. Not just your resemblance to Elizabeth." Their eyes met, and Rachel felt an unexpected flutter in her chest, a warmth that had no place in the dangerous puzzle they were trying to solve. She looked away first. "We should get some rest. Tomorrow we'll check the storage unit." "Then the safety deposit box." Logan nodded. "You take the bed, I'll keep watch." Sleep came fitfully for Rachel, her dreams filled with fragments of memories. The garden fountain, Elizabeth's laugh, Daniel's voice reading a bedtime story. When she woke, gray dawn light filtered through the cheap curtains. Logan sat in the chair by the window, watching the parking lot below. "The sedan's gone," he reported, "but they'll be back." They grabbed breakfast at a drive-thru and headed for the storage facility on Route 16. The place was deserted at that early hour, rows of identical metal units stretching into the distance. "Unit 1907, Rachel murmured, checking the numbers as they walked past. "Jack said the combination is my birthday, 2307 to 19. They found the unit, a standard padlock securing the rolling door. Rachel dialed in the combination with trembling fingers, relief washing over her when it clicked open. The interior was organized with military precision. Filing cabinets, shelves of labeled boxes, and a small desk with a laptop. On the wall hung a corkboard covered with photos, news clippings, and red string connecting various events. "He's been investigating for years," Logan said, amazement in his voice as he surveyed Jack's work. Rachel headed straight for a box labeled RM Documents. Inside, she found her original birth certificate, childhood medical records, and photos of her as a baby with Daniel and Elizabeth. The evidence of her true identity was overwhelming. "Logan," she called, her voice unsteady. "Look at this." She held up a family portrait. Daniel, Elizabeth, and a 3-year-old Rachel, all smiling in the garden of the Monroe estate, a family that had been torn apart by Andrew's ambition. Logan joined her, examining the photo closely. Then his attention shifted to another box, this one labeled simply LR. Inside were documents about him. His birth certificate listing Jack Reynolds as his father, letters from Alice that had never been sent, school reports Andrew had intercepted, an entire history that had been hidden from him. "He kept track of me," Logan said quietly, holding a newspaper clipping of his law school graduation. All this time, they worked methodically through the evidence, building a clearer picture of Andrew's decades-long manipulation. Financial records showed how he'd siphoned company funds, medical records detailed the progression of drugs administered to Daniel and Elizabeth, and a timeline tracked the systematic dismantling of the Monroe family. "This is enough to destroy him," Rachel said, scanning a particularly damning email exchange between Andrew and Dr. Mercer. "If we can get it to the right people," Logan cautioned. "Andrew has connections everywhere. Police, judiciary, media." Rachel was about to respond when her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Get out now." "They're coming." Logan's phone chimed simultaneously with the same warning. They looked at each other, then scrambled to gather the most critical evidence. As Rachel stuffed documents into her bag, Logan suddenly froze, staring at a folder left conspicuously on the desk. "What is it?" Rachel asked urgently. Logan held up a medical report dated just 3 days ago. "It's from Dr. Mercer to Andrew. They're planning to have Daniel declared mentally incompetent next week. The board meeting isn't just about succession. It's about having Daniel committed." Outside, tires screeched on asphalt as vehicles pulled up. "Back exit," Logan whispered, grabbing her hand. They slipped out the service door just as men in suits entered the main entrance. In the growing light of morning, their alliance had solidified into something stronger. 2 people connected by blood, lies, and now a shared mission to save what remained of both their families before Andrew destroyed everything. "We can't go back to the motel," Logan said, as they sped away from the storage facility, checking the rear-view mirror for tails. "They'll be watching your apartment too." Rachel clutched the duffel bag of evidence on her lap, mind racing. First National Bank, Jack's safety deposit box. The morning rush made navigating downtown traffic a challenge, but it also provided cover. They abandoned Logan's car in a shopping center parking garage and took a taxi the rest of the way, a precaution that felt necessary given Andrew's reach. Inside the bank's marble lobby, Rachel approached the service desk with practiced calm. "I need to access a safety deposit box." "Please." The clerk smiled professionally. "Of course. Do you have your key and ID?" Rachel produced both, along with the account number she'd found in Jack's files. Logan stood nearby, casually scanning the lobby for threats. After verification, they were led to a private viewing room. The box Jack had left for them was larger than Rachel expected, a testament to how long he'd been gathering evidence. "Wait outside, please," Logan instructed the attendant, who nodded and closed the door behind her. Inside the box lay several USB drives, a sealed envelope addressed to Rachel Monroe, and a handgun with a box of ammunition. He thought of everything, Logan murmured, examining the weapon. Rachel opened the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside was a letter in Jack's precise handwriting and a small plastic vial containing what looked like a hair sample. "Rachel," she read aloud, "if you're reading this, either I'm dead or unable to help you directly. The enclosed sample belongs to Elizabeth Monroe, obtained during my security work at the mansion. I've arranged for an independent lab to conduct DNA testing. The contact information is below. Dr. Faulkner is trustworthy and discreet." Logan glanced at the door, then back at Rachel. "A DNA test would be irrefutable proof of your identity. We need to move quickly," Rachel said, scanning the rest of the letter. "Jack mentioned something about a safe room in the East Wing, hidden behind the bookcase in Elizabeth's studio. Says it was installed when the house was built, but Andrew doesn't know about it. That could be our advantage," Logan noted. "A place to hide if needed." Rachel continued reading. "Logan, if you're with Rachel, know that I've watched over you from afar all these years. Your mother made me promise to stay away to keep you safe from Andrew. It was the hardest promise I've ever kept. The third USB contains everything I managed to save of her. Letters, photos, memories she wanted you to have someday. You have her courage and my stubbornness. I'm proud of the man you've become." Rachel looked up to see Logan's expression crumple momentarily before he regained control. "We should go," he said hoarsely, pocketing one of the drives. "The DNA lab first. Then we need a secure place to plan our next move." They left the bank separately, agreeing to meet at the lab in 1 hour. The precaution proved wise. Rachel spotted one of Andrew's security men watching the entrance as she exited through a side door. Dr. Faulkner's lab was small and unassuming, tucked away in a medical complex on the city's west side. The doctor herself was a sharp-eyed woman in her 60s, who clearly recognized Jack's name when Rachel mentioned it. "He said you might come someday," she said, examining the sample vial. "I'll need a sample from you as well. Cheek swab will do." "How long will the test take?" Logan asked. "Normally a few days, but Jack arranged for expedited processing." Dr. Faulkner's expression softened slightly. He was very thorough about contingencies. "I'm sorry if that means, well," Rachel swallowed hard. "We haven't confirmed his status yet." After providing her sample, Rachel received a burner phone from Dr. Faulkner, another of Jack's arrangements. "Results will come to this number only. Keep it close." Outside, Logan guided her to a nondescript sedan. "Rental," he explained. "Paid cash, used an old college ID. Should buy us some anonymity. We need to warn Daniel about the commitment plans," Rachel said as they pulled away from the lab. "And check on Elizabeth." Logan's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. "It's risky going back to the mansion. Andrew will expect it, which might work in our favor. If he thinks we're hiding out, the mansion could be the last place he'd expect us." Rachel chewed her lip, considering. What about Dr. Mercer? Where does he fit in all this? Anton Mercer was Andrew's roommate in college. His medical practice exists almost exclusively to serve the Monroe family and a few select clients. Very private, very expensive, and very suspicious, Rachel added. The dosages he prescribed are dangerously high, enough to maintain control without raising external concerns, Logan agreed, especially with Andrew managing all communication between Daniel and the outside world. They drove in thoughtful silence, eventually stopping at a small cafe with decent Wi-Fi and minimal security cameras. Using the burner phone, Rachel called Elizabeth's private line in the East Wing. After several rings, a familiar voice answered. "Hello?" Elizabeth sounded more alert than Rachel had ever heard her. "Elizabeth? It's Rachel. Don't say my name. Just listen. Has your medication changed recently?" A pause, then. "Yes, I've felt clearer. Logan has been helping." "Good. Is Daniel with you?" "No. Andrew took him to the city house this morning. Some emergency meeting." Rachel exchanged worried glances with Logan. "Elizabeth, be careful with Andrew. He's not who you think he is. We're coming to see you soon. There's a safe room in your studio, behind the bookcase." "Yes, I remember it now." Elizabeth's voice dropped to a whisper. "Rachel, I have dreams about a little girl, my daughter. Her eyes are just like—" "I know," Rachel said, emotion threatening to overwhelm her. "We'll talk soon. Be careful." After hanging up, Rachel pulled out her laptop. "We need to see what's on these drives before we make our next move." The The first contained financial records, detailed documentation of how Andrew had systematically diverted company assets to shell corporations under his control. The second held medical files and surveillance footage of the Monroe mansion, including Andrew's office. The third drive, the one Jack had left specifically for Logan, they set aside by unspoken agreement. That was personal, not part of their immediate strategy. Here, Rachel pointed to a video file dated just 2 weeks ago. This is Andrew's office. The footage showed Andrew on the phone, his back to the camera. "No, we can't wait any longer," he was saying. "Daniel had another episode yesterday, started asking about Rachel again. After all these years, his subconscious is still fighting through the medication." The person on the other end said something inaudible. "Of course I've increased the dosage," Andrew snapped. "But it's not sustainable. We need to move forward with the competency hearing. Once he's institutionalized, the board will have no choice but to make my temporary leadership permanent." Logan leaned closer. "This proves he's deliberately incapacitating Daniel. And that Daniel remembers me, at least subconsciously." Rachel felt a surge of hope. If we can get him completely off the medication, it would take days for it to clear his system, and we don't have days. Logan rubbed his jaw, thinking, "Unless..." "What?" "Dr. Liu. She's a neurologist I consulted when I first started investigating the medications. She mentioned there are agents that can accelerate the clearing of certain compounds from the system, if we could get Daniel to her. First, we need to find him," Rachel said. "If he's at the city house with Andrew, that's where we have to go." Logan looked skeptical. "Walking into Andrew's secondary base of operations. It's practically suicide. Not if we have help." Rachel pulled out her phone, scrolling through her contacts. Diane, Daniel's other assistant, she's always been loyal to him, not Andrew. She might be our way in. "It's a huge risk," Logan warned. "Every option we have now is a risk," Rachel countered. "But doing nothing guarantees Andrew wins. Daniel gets committed. Elizabeth remains drugged in isolation, and you and I become loose ends for Andrew to deal with permanently." Logan's expression hardened with resolve. "Then we need a plan. A good one." As they bent over the laptop, strategizing their approach, Rachel felt a strange sense of rightness despite the danger. For the first time in her life, she was fighting for something that truly mattered. Her family, her identity, her future. Across town, in the sterile confines of his private medical facility, Dr. Mercer prepared a syringe with practiced precision. "The board convenes tomorrow," Andrew reminded him, watching the amber liquid fill the chamber. "This needs to be convincing." "It will be," Mercer assured him. "One injection of this, and Daniel will display all the signs of a major psychotic episode. No one will question your petition for emergency guardianship." Andrew smiled coldly. "And our other problem? My contacts are still searching for the girl and Reynolds' son. It's only a matter of time." "Time," Andrew echoed, "is precisely what we don't have if they reach Daniel before tomorrow's meeting." The unspoken threat hung in the air between them. The potential collapse of a conspiracy decades in the making, held together by ambition, medication, and the weight of blood both shared and spilled. The Monroe City House stood in stark contrast to the family mansion, all sleek glass and modern angles where the estate was classic grandeur. Rachel found it fitting that Andrew preferred this cold, contemporary space for his own operations. "Diane says Daniel's in the East Suite," she whispered, checking her phone as they sat in their rental car down the block. "Andrew's got 2 guards posted, but she's arranged a distraction in 10 minutes. Logan nodded, checking Jack's gun before tucking it into his waistband. "How sure are you about trusting her? She's worked for Daniel for 15 years. Brought him soup when he was sick, remembered his kids' birthdays. She hates Andrew," Rachel said firmly. "And she said Daniel's been asking for me." That last part still sent a strange thrill through her. Being wanted, being remembered by the father she'd never known she had, at precisely 2:15 p.m. Alarms blared from the building's west wing. As predicted, security personnel rushed toward the disturbance, leaving a single guard at Daniel's door. "Now," Logan whispered, and they moved swiftly across the street, using their access cards, Rachel's legitimate, Logan's cloned, to enter through a service door. Diane met them in the kitchen, her normally perfect bob disheveled with tension. "Third floor, turn left. The remaining guard is Carl. He's sympathetic but cautious. Show him this," She handed Rachel a small silver lapel pin. "It's Daniel's personal insignia. Carl will understand." "Thank you," Rachel said, squeezing the older woman's hand. "If this goes wrong—" "It won't," Diane cut her off firmly. "Now hurry, you have maybe 15 minutes before Andrew returns from his downtown meeting." They took the service stairs, emerging into a plushly carpeted hallway. Carl stood at attention outside a polished oak door, his posture stiffening when he spotted them. "Ma'am, sir, this area is restricted." Rachel held up the silver pin. "Carl, this comes from Diane. We need to see Daniel. It's about his safety." The guard hesitated, recognition flickering in his eyes. "Mr. Andrew said no visitors." "Mr. Andrew is precisely the problem," Logan said quietly. "You've worked for the family for 10 years? You've seen how Daniel's condition mysteriously worsens whenever he starts improving." Carl's expression shifted, doubt replacing certainty. "The medications are being used to control him," Rachel finished. "Please, we can prove it." After a moment of internal struggle, Carl stepped aside. 10 minutes. That's all I can give you." The suite beyond was spacious, but felt more like a gilded prison than a residence. Daniel Monroe sat in an armchair by the window, staring out at the city skyline with unfocused eyes. He looked smaller than Rachel remembered, diminished somehow. "Daniel," she said softly, approaching slowly. He turned, his movements sluggish. Recognition dawned gradually on his face. "Rachel," he murmured. "My assistant." "Yes," she replied, kneeling beside his chair. "But I'm more than that. Much more." Logan hung back, keeping watch at the door while extracting a small pill bottle from his pocket. "Doctor, lose compound to accelerate clearing the sedatives from Daniel's system." "I've been having dreams," Daniel said, his words slightly slurred. "About a little girl. She has your eyes." Rachel swallowed hard. "That's because she is me, Daniel. I'm Rachel, your daughter." He stared at her, confusion and desperate hope battling across his features. "My daughter drowned 23 years ago." "No, she didn't. Andrew took her, took me, and made you believe that." Rachel produced the DNA test Dr. Faulkner had rushed to complete, the results arriving on the burner phone just an hour earlier. "Look, this proves it. I'm your daughter." Daniel's hands trembled as he took the paper, eyes struggling to focus on the text. 99.7% probability of parental relation. He read slowly. "Elizabeth and I, you're our..." "Yes?" Rachel whispered, tears threatening. "Andrew has been drugging you and Elizabeth for years to keep you confused, to maintain control." Logan approached cautiously, offering a glass of water and the tablet. "This will help clear your system faster," he explained. "It's from Dr. Liu." Daniel studied Logan with sudden sharpness. "You're Alice's boy," he said unexpectedly. "Jack's son. I remember now. When you first came back before Andrew increased my medication, I recognized Jack in your features." Logan stilled. "You knew my father. Best head of security we ever had, loyal to a fault." Daniel took the pill, swallowing it with determination, until the night he disappeared with my daughter. His gaze returned to Rachel, newfound clarity warring with decades of manipulated memories. "He was trying to protect me from Andrew," Rachel explained. "Your brother arranged my kidnapping, then made you believe I had drowned." Daniel closed his eyes, pain etched in every line of his face. "All these years, the medication fog, I knew something was wrong, but could never hold on to the thought long enough." "Andrew's planning to have you committed tomorrow," Logan said, checking his watch anxiously. "A board meeting is already scheduled. Once you're declared incompetent, he takes permanent control." A flash of the old Daniel Monroe, the business titan, the family patriarch, surfaced through the pharmaceutical haze. "Not if I stop him first." "Sir?" Carl appeared in the doorway, expression tense. "Mr. Andrew just pulled into the garage. 2 minutes. Tops." Logan and Rachel exchanged alarmed glances. They'd run out of time. "Hide in the bathroom," Daniel instructed, suddenly more alert. "Let me handle my brother." They had barely concealed themselves when Andrew's voice carried into the suite. "How's our patient today, Carl?" "Quiet, sir, as usual." "Excellent. You can wait outside." The door closed, and Andrew's footsteps approached the sitting area. "Daniel, good news." The board is fully supportive of the temporary guardianship arrangement, just a few papers to sign, from their hiding place. Rachel and Logan could see through the partly open bathroom door. Daniel was playing his part perfectly, slumped in the chair, seemingly disoriented. "Andrew," he mumbled. "Been thinking about Rachel." Andrew stiffened visibly. "We've discussed this, Daniel. The doctors believe these recurring delusions about your daughter are part of your condition. Rachel drowned 23 years ago. Did she?" Daniel's voice remained weak, but something in his tone made Andrew step closer. "What are you talking about? I keep remembering things. The night she disappeared. You were there." Andrew's face hardened. "That's the medication talking. You need your next dose. You're becoming confused again." He reached into his pocket, withdrawing a pre-filled syringe. "Dr. Mercer prepared this specially. It will help with the anxiety before tomorrow's meeting." Daniel's eyes fixed on the syringe. "What's really in there, Andrew? More fog, or something stronger this time?" "Don't be ridiculous," Andrew snapped, but uncertainty had crept into his voice. "You're not well, Daniel. You haven't been well for years. Because you've been poisoning me," Daniel said, his voice suddenly stronger. "You and Mercer, keeping me just functional enough to be the face of the company, but too confused to see what you were doing." Andrew's expression shifted from concern to cold calculation. "You have no proof, don't I?" Daniel nodded toward the coffee table where Rachel had left the DNA test results. "My daughter is alive, Andrew, and she's been right under our noses." Andrew snatched up the paper, his face draining of color as he read. "This is impossible, she died. I made sure." He stopped abruptly, realizing his mistake. "You made sure," Daniel repeated, rising from his chair with effort but unmistakable purpose. "What exactly did you make sure of, brother?" Rachel stepped out of the bathroom, unable to stay hidden any longer. "He made sure I disappeared," she said, "arranged my kidnapping, placed me in an orphanage, even orchestrated a fire to destroy records when Jack Reynolds got too close to finding me." Andrew whirled to face her, shock quickly replaced by cold fury. "You have no idea what you're talking about. This DNA test is obviously fabricated. Just like the drowning was fabricated." Logan emerged behind Rachel. "Just like my paternity was fabricated. You told me Daniel was my father, when all along you knew it was Jack." Andrew's gaze darted between them, calculating odds and options. "Carl," he shouted, but no response came. "He's taking a break," Logan said coolly. "Apparently he doesn't appreciate being part of a conspiracy to drug his longtime employer." Cornered, Andrew's demeanor changed entirely. The polished facade cracked, revealing the ruthless ambition beneath. "You think you understand, but you don't. This company was always meant to be mine. Father promised it to me first, before Daniel charmed his way into the succession. Everything I've done was to restore what should have been mine from the beginning. By drugging me, by stealing my daughter." Daniel's voice shook with rage. Andrew's hand tightened around the syringe. "You were weak, sentimental. The company would have collapsed under your leadership. So you destroyed my family instead," Daniel said quietly. "My wife's mind, my daughter's life, all for power." "Not just power," Andrew corrected, a twisted smile forming. "Justice!" He lunged suddenly, syringe aimed at Daniel's neck. Logan tackled him mid-motion, sending both men crashing into a glass coffee table that shattered beneath them. Rachel rushed to Daniel, pulling him back from the struggle as Logan and Andrew grappled for control of the syringe. With a violent twist, Andrew drove the needle into Logan's upper arm, depressing the plunger before Rachel could reach them. "No!" she screamed, grabbing a lamp and bringing it down on Andrew's head. He slumped sideways, momentarily stunned. Logan staggered to his feet, already blinking rapidly as the drug entered his system. What was in that?" His words slurred, knees buckling. "Logan." Rachel caught him before he hit the floor, easing him onto the sofa. "Stay with me. Focus on my voice." Andrew laughed darkly, blood trickling from a cut above his eye. "Special cocktail from Dr. Mercer. He'll be experiencing a very convincing psychotic episode in about 3 minutes. Perfect demonstration for the board tomorrow of why the Monroe line is fundamentally unstable." Daniel moved with surprising speed for a man who'd been heavily medicated for decades, pinning his brother against the wall. "Call Mercer now. Tell him to bring the antidote." "There is no antidote. Andrew sneered. That's the beauty of it. As Logan's breathing grew labored and his pupils dilated alarmingly, Rachel made a desperate decision. She pulled out her phone and called the last person Andrew would expect. Dr. Faulkner, this is Rachel. We need your help now. Logan's condition deteriorated rapidly. His skin flushed with fever, his breathing shallow and rapid as he fought against whatever compound Andrew had injected into his system. Stay with me, Rachel urged, pressing a cold cloth to his forehead. Dr. Faulkner is on her way. Daniel kept Andrew secured in a chair, the older man's newfound strength surprising even himself, as the clearing medication gradually swept away decades of chemical fog. Carl had returned, horrified by what he'd witnessed, and now stood guard to ensure Andrew couldn't escape. How long has this been going on? Daniel demanded of his brother. The medications, the manipulation, all of it. Andrew's smile was cold, despite his restrained position. Since Father told me you'd be taking over instead of me. I was always smarter, always more dedicated to the business, but you were his favorite. Bitterness dripped from every word. When Elizabeth got pregnant, I knew I had to act. Another generation of Monroes to push me aside. So you arranged to have my daughter kidnapped, Daniel said, barely containing his rage. Made me believe she'd drowned. It was meant to be permanent, Andrew admitted, glancing at Rachel with undisguised contempt. Jack Reynolds complicated things by hiding her at that orphanage instead of following through. Sentimental fool. Rachel looked up sharply. What do you mean of following through? Andrew's smile widened. What do you think I mean? Jack was supposed to make the problem disappear permanently. Instead, he and that housekeeper decided to play heroes. He nodded toward Logan, who was mumbling incoherently now. Just like his father, weak when it counts. The buzzer sounded, and Carl admitted Dr. Faulkner. The older woman moved with brisk efficiency, medical bag in hand. What was he injected with? She demanded, immediately checking Logan's vitals. A special cocktail from Dr. Mercer, Rachel explained, showing her the empty syringe. Something to mimic a psychotic episode. Dr. Faulkner examined the residue in the syringe, her expression grim. I need to know exactly what was in this. All eyes turned to Andrew, who merely shrugged. Mercer's specialty. I'm just the businessman. Call Mercer, Daniel ordered Carl. Use Andrew's phone. Tell him to get here immediately with the formula. As Carl stepped out to make the call, Dr. Faulkner administered a series of injections to Logan. This might help slow the progression until we know exactly what we're dealing with. Logan's eyes fluttered, focusing briefly on Rachel. Jack, he mumbled. Find Jack. We will, she promised, squeezing his hand. Dr. Faulkner pulled Rachel and Daniel aside. His system is fighting, but he needs proper medical attention. This isn't something I can treat fully here. We can't take him to a hospital, Rachel said urgently. Andrew has connections everywhere. They'd either finish the job or make Logan seem legitimately psychotic to support their narrative. Daniel thought for a moment. What about Elizabeth? Is she safe at the mansion? Rachel exchanged worried glances with Dr. Faulkner. She's been reducing her medication with Logan's help, but she's still vulnerable. Andrew's people are everywhere. Not all of them are loyal to him, Daniel countered. The old staff, the ones who were there when you were a child. Many remained out of loyalty to me and Elizabeth. Not Andrew, Carl returned, expression grim. Mercer's not answering, and there's another problem. Andrew's assistant called. The board meeting has been moved up. It's scheduled for 9 a.m. tomorrow. That gives us less than 18 hours, Rachel realized. They must suspect something's wrong. Daniel's expression hardened with resolve. Then we move now. Call Diane. Tell her to gather my most trusted executives. We need to secure allies before tomorrow. Rachel nodded, then turned to Dr. Faulkner. Can Logan be moved? Not ideal, but necessary under the circumstances. The doctor conceded. I'll come with you to monitor him, while Rachel made calls. Daniel knelt beside his brother. For the last time, Andrew. What did Mercer give Logan? Andrew's calculating eyes assessed his options. Let me go, and I'll tell you. Not happening, Daniel growled. Start talking, or I call the police right now and turn over all the evidence of your crimes. You wouldn't, Andrew scoffed. The scandal would destroy Monroe Enterprises. Your precious legacy. Ruined. Watch me, Daniel said coldly. reaching for the phone. Something in his brother's tone must have convinced Andrew that the threat was real. Fine. It's a compound Mercer developed years ago. A designer hallucinogen combined with a powerful stimulant. Creates symptoms identical to acute paranoid psychosis. Dr. Faulkner immediately adjusted her treatment approach, administering a different medication to Logan. This should help counteract the stimulant effects. The hallucinogen will have to wear off naturally, but at least his heart rate should stabilize. As they prepared to move, Rachel's burner phone buzzed. The text message was brief but shocking. Jack alive, held at Mercer's private clinic, heavily guarded. Jack's alive, she announced, hope and anxiety warring within her. But he's at Mercer's clinic. We need to split up, Daniel decided. Rachel, you and Carl take Logan and Dr. Faulkner to the mansion, get Elizabeth to the safe room. I'll gather my executives and prepare for tomorrow's board meeting. What about Jack? Rachel protested. I'll handle that, came a voice from the doorway. They turned to find Diane standing there, a gun held steadily in her hand, but the weapon wasn't pointed at them. It was aimed at Andrew. I thought you might need backup, she explained with a tight smile. And I've made some calls. There are people who've been waiting years for a chance to bring Andrew down. Former security personnel, Daniel realized, from Jack's old team. Diane nodded. Loyal to you, sir, always have been. They'll help extract Jack while you handle the corporate side. Rachel felt a surge of hope. They weren't alone in this fight after all. What about him? Carl nodded toward Andrew, who watched the proceedings with barely concealed rage. He comes with me, Daniel decided. Insurance for the board meeting, and to make sure Mercer cooperates if Logan's condition worsens. They moved quickly after that, transferring the semi-conscious Logan to a secure SUV with Dr. Faulkner. As Rachel prepared to leave with them, Daniel pulled her aside. 23 years, he said softly, studying her face with wonder. I've missed my daughter's entire life. We have time, Rachel assured him, though uncertainty gnawed at her. Once this is over, Daniel nodded, emotion making his voice rough. Be careful, Andrew's desperate now, and that makes him even more dangerous. The drive to the Monroe mansion felt impossibly long. Logan drifted in and out of consciousness beside her, his condition stabilized but still serious. Dr. Faulkner monitored him continuously, concern etched in her features. Will he recover? Rachel asked quietly. With proper treatment, yes, the doctor replied, but the psychological effects could linger. These compounds can be traumatic to the system. Rachel studied Logan's face, noting the resemblance to Jack that seemed more pronounced in his vulnerable state. Another life Andrew had manipulated and nearly destroyed. For what? Power? Revenge? The scale of his brother's malice clearly shocked even Daniel. When they arrived at the mansion, Rachel was relieved to find several trusted staff waiting. Maria, Elizabeth's longtime housekeeper, greeted them with tears in her eyes. Miss Rachel, she whispered, crossing herself. I knew you couldn't be gone. You have your mother's eyes. Where is she? Rachel asked urgently. In her studio, she's been painting all day. The same scene, over and over, with Logan carefully transferred to a secure bedroom under Dr. Faulkner's watchful care. Rachel made her way to the east wing. She found Elizabeth exactly where Maria had indicated, standing before an easel with paintbrush in hand. The canvas showed the garden fountain, the one from Rachel's fragmented memories, with a little girl in a yellow dress playing nearby. Elizabeth, Rachel said softly. Her mother turned, and Rachel saw immediately that her eyes were clearer than ever before, recognition blazing through any remaining pharmaceutical fog. Rachel, Elizabeth breathed, dropping her paintbrush. My baby girl. They moved toward each other, decades of separation collapsing in an instant. As Elizabeth pulled Rachel into her arms, the embrace felt like coming home, a home Rachel hadn't known she was missing until this moment. I knew you weren't gone, Elizabeth whispered against her hair. I kept painting you, trying to keep you alive in my mind even when the medications made everything hazy. Rachel pulled back slightly, urgency overriding the emotional reunion. We need to move to the safe room. Andrew knows I'm alive, and we have Logan here. He's been injured. Elizabeth's expression hardened with unexpected resolve. Andrew, all these years I knew something was wrong. But the medication, she shook her head. The safe room, yes, behind the bookcase. She moved with surprising purpose to the far wall, pulling a specific volume partway out. The bookcase slid silently aside, revealing a modern security door with keypad. "Daniel installed it when we were first married," Elizabeth explained, entering a code. Paranoid about kidnapping threats. Even then, ironic. The room beyond was spacious and well-equipped. Communications equipment, supplies, even medical provisions, as they prepared the space. Rachel's phone buzzed with an update from Diane. Extraction team in position at Mercer's clinic, moving in at midnight. Jack's rescue is being arranged, Rachel told Elizabeth. Logan's father. Elizabeth's eyes widened. Jack's alive and Logan is his son, not Daniel's. When Rachel nodded, Elizabeth sank into a chair. So many lies. So much time stolen from all of us. Before Rachel could respond, an urgent knock came at the studio door. Dr. Faulkner's voice called out, "Rachel, Logan's awake, and he's remembered something crucial about tomorrow's board meeting." Logan sat propped against pillows, his face pale but his eyes lucid. The haunted expression in them suggested the hallucinations had been terrifying. When Rachel entered, his relief was palpable. "You're okay," he breathed. "I should be saying that to you," she replied, moving to his bedside. "Dr. Faulkner said you remembered something important." He nodded, wincing slightly. "Before Andrew injected me, I overheard him on the phone with Mercer. The board meeting isn't just about having Daniel declared incompetent. They're planning to announce the sale of Monroe Enterprises." "Sale?" Rachel echoed. "To whom?" "Blackstone Global. They've been circling for years. But Daniel always refused to sell." Logan leaned forward urgently. "Andrew's been secretly negotiating with them for months. Once he has control, he plans to cash out completely, walk away with billions while the company gets dismantled for parts." Elizabeth gasped from the doorway. "That would destroy thousands of jobs, entire communities built around Monroe operations." "Exactly," Logan confirmed. "And the board doesn't know. They think tomorrow is just about formalizing Andrew's temporary leadership due to Daniel's health issues." Rachel's mind raced. "We need to warn Daniel. With the meeting moved up, he might not have time to rally enough supporters." "There's more," Logan added grimly. "The contracts are already drawn up. All they need is the medical certification of Daniel's incompetence, which Mercer will provide, and Andrew's signature as legal guardian." Dr. Faulkner checked Logan's pulse, her expression concerned. "You need rest. The compound is still in your system." "I'll rest when this is over," Logan insisted. Attempting to stand, Rachel gently pushed him back. "You're not going anywhere, but you're right. We need to act now." Her phone buzzed with an update from Daniel. 5 board members confirmed loyal. Need 3 more for majority. Working on it. She showed Logan the message. "Daniel's making progress. But it might not be enough." "What about Jack?" Logan asked. "Any word on the extraction?" As if in answer, the phone buzzed again. "Team in position. Extraction in 90 minutes. Will update." Elizabeth had been quiet, absorbing everything with growing clarity as the last of the medications left her system. Now she stepped forward, determination hardening her delicate features. "I should be at that board meeting," she declared. Rachel turned in surprise. "It's too dangerous. Andrew has stolen 23 years of my life," Elizabeth interrupted, a steely edge to her voice that might have always been there. "Buried beneath chemical fog. He took my daughter, drugged my husband, and now plans to destroy everything we built. I am still a major shareholder in Monroe Enterprises. The board respects me." "She's right," Logan said. "Elizabeth's appearance would be a game changer. No one's seen her in public for years because of Andrew's control." Rachel hesitated, torn between protecting her newly found mother and recognizing the strategic advantage. "If we do this, we need absolute security. Andrew's desperate now." Their planning was interrupted by an urgent call from Diane. Rachel put it on speaker. "We have a problem," Diane reported tensely. "Mercer's clinic is evacuating patients. They must have been tipped off about the extraction team." "What about Jack?" Logan demanded, struggling to sit up straighter. "Unknown. Our people are moving in now, but..." The line crackled with static as Diane spoke to someone in the background. "Wait, we have a vehicle leaving the service entrance. Could be him." Rachel and Logan exchanged tense glances. "Keep us updated." Rachel instructed before ending the call. I need to be there, Logan insisted, pushing aside his covers. You can barely stand, Rachel protested. He's my father, Logan countered with quiet intensity. I've spent my entire life believing Daniel was my father, that my mother kept me from him for selfish reasons. Now I find out everything was a lie, that my real father has been fighting to protect me all along. His voice broke slightly. I need to be there when they find him. Dr. Faulkner intervened. If you're determined to go, at least let me give you something to help manage the symptoms. While the doctor prepared an injection, Rachel's phone rang again. An unknown number. Hello? She answered cautiously. Rachel. The voice was weak but unmistakable. It's Jack. Jack, she exclaimed, immediately putting the call on speaker. Where are you? Are you safe? For now, he replied, his breathing labored. Escaped during transfer, but I'm injured. Can't go far. Logan leaned toward the phone. Jack, it's Logan. A moment of silence, then, my son. The two words carried decades of longing. You know the truth now. Yes, Logan confirmed, emotion thickening his voice. Where are you? We'll come get you. Old boathouse. East end of Monroe property. Jack coughed painfully. Hurry, Mercer's men are searching. And Rachel, bring the evidence, all of it. Tomorrow's board meeting is our only chance. We're on our way, Rachel promised, ending the call and turning to Logan. The boathouse is less than a mile from here, through the estate grounds. I know where it is, Elizabeth said. I used to paint there before. She didn't need to finish the thought. Dr. Faulkner administered the injection to Logan. This will keep you functional for a few hours, but no more. After that, you'll need proper medical attention. Logan nodded his thanks, already looking more alert as the medication took effect. We should move quickly. If Jack made it to the boathouse, Mercer's people won't be far behind. The night air was cool as they slipped out through the garden, using the extensive landscaping as cover. Elizabeth led them confidently through paths she hadn't walked in years, muscle memory guiding her through the darkness. The security system has blind spots, she explained in a whisper. Daniel showed me once in case of emergency. Rachel carried a backpack containing the crucial evidence: Jack's flash drives, the DNA test results, financial records proving Andrew's manipulation. Logan moved stiffly beside her, determination overriding his physical distress. The boathouse appeared ahead, a dark silhouette against the moonlit lake. No lights visible, no movement detectable. Jack, Rachel called softly as they approached. A shadow shifted in the doorway. Here, came Jack's raspy reply. He looked worse than Rachel had feared. Pale, bloodied, with an obvious gunshot wound to his shoulder. Logan rushed forward, supporting his father as Jack's knees threatened to buckle. You made it, Jack said, studying his son's face with wonder. You look so much like your mother. Let's save the reunion for when we're safe, Rachel urged, helping them inside the boathouse. Dr. Faulkner is waiting back at the mansion. She can treat that wound. Jack nodded weakly. Did you bring the evidence? Everything, Rachel confirmed, patting the backpack. Daniel's gathering board support now. The meeting's been moved to 9 a.m. tomorrow. Then we don't have much time, Jack grimaced. Andrew's been planning this for decades. He won't give up easily. As if summoned by his name, headlights swept across the lake, illuminating the boathouse momentarily. An engine growled to a stop nearby. They've found us, Elizabeth whispered, peering through a window. 2 vehicles, armed men. Logan helped Jack to the back of the boathouse, searching for an escape route. There's a service door here, he discovered, but it leads right to the water. The boat, Jack suggested, nodding toward a small motorboat moored inside the structure. Still functional. Elizabeth nodded. Daniel maintains everything on the property, even things we don't use. Outside, voices approached, terse commands being issued. They had minutes at most. Get to the boat, Rachel instructed, reaching into her backpack. I'll create a diversion. No, Logan protested. Too dangerous. We don't have a choice, she countered, removing a small device Jack had stored with his evidence. A basic flashbang designed for security personnel. Jack needs medical attention, and the evidence has to reach the board meeting. You 3 go, I'll meet you at the mansion. Before anyone could argue further, the front door splintered under heavy impact. Rachel shoved them toward the boat, pressed the activation button on the flashbang. and tossed it toward the front entrance. The explosion of light and sound was disorienting. Even though she'd been expecting it, shouts of confusion erupted from Mercer's men as Rachel raced toward the boat, where Logan had already helped Jack aboard and was untying the mooring line. She leaped into the boat just as bullets splintered the wooden dock beside them. Elizabeth gunned the engine with surprising skill, and they shot out onto the darkened lake. "Head for the south dock," Jack instructed between pained breaths. "It's closer to the mansion service entrance." As they sped across the water, pursued by flashlight beams from the shore, Rachel reflected on the strange twist of fate that had brought them all together. A family fractured by ambition and betrayal, now fighting to reclaim what had been stolen. Behind them, Mercer's men were returning to their vehicles, presumably to drive around the lake and intercept them. They had perhaps 10 minutes before confrontation became inevitable again. Elizabeth navigated with the confidence of someone who had spent a lifetime on these waters, guiding the boat into a small cove hidden by overhanging willows before cutting the engine. "Shortcut through here," she explained softly. "The south dock is just beyond." As they drifted silently through the natural tunnel of branches, Jack reached for his son's hand. "When this is over," he said quietly, "I have so much to tell you about your mother. She was the bravest person I ever knew." Logan swallowed hard, gripping his father's hand. "I'd like that." The boat emerged from the willows to reveal the south dock, illuminated only by moonlight. No signs of pursuit yet. They secured the boat quickly, helping Jack onto the dock. His wound had begun bleeding again, his face alarmingly pale in the darkness. "We need to hurry," Rachel urged, supporting Jack on one side while Logan took the other. Elizabeth led the way up the path toward the mansion, every step carrying them closer to the confrontation that would determine not just their futures, but the fate of everything the Monroe family had built. Behind them, engine sounds grew louder as Mercer's men closed in. Ahead, the mansion lights beckoned. Safety, medical attention for Jack, and preparation for tomorrow's final stand against Andrew. Dawn was approaching. The night of truths would soon give way to the day of reckoning. The Monroe Enterprises headquarters gleamed in the morning sunlight, its glass facade reflecting the clear blue sky. Inside the executive boardroom on the top floor, tension thickened the air as board members took their seats, exchanging puzzled glances and whispered speculations. Andrew Monroe stood at the head of the table, impeccably dressed despite the chaos of the previous night. Only a small bandage above his temple hinted at his confrontation with Daniel. At his side, Dr. Mercer arranged medical files with practiced efficiency, occasionally checking his watch with visible impatience. "Ladies and gentlemen," Andrew began precisely at 9 a.m., his voice carrying the practiced authority of someone accustomed to command. "Thank you for accommodating the schedule change. As you know, we're here to address the leadership transition necessitated by my brother's unfortunate decline." Murmurs rippled around the table. Several executives looked uncomfortable, glancing toward the empty chair typically occupied by Daniel. "Dr. Mercer has prepared a comprehensive assessment of Daniel's condition," Andrew continued smoothly, "and I've distributed the proposed guardianship agreement for your review. Once approved, we can proceed with the strategic partnership announcement." The boardroom doors swung open. Daniel Monroe strode in, flanked by Rachel on one side and Elizabeth on the other. Behind them came Logan, supporting a bandaged but conscious Jack Reynolds. "I believe you're discussing my mental competence," Daniel said, his voice stronger and clearer than it had been in years. "How fortunate that I'm here to contribute to the conversation." The board erupted in shocked exclamations. Elizabeth's appearance alone would have been sensational. The reclusive Mrs. Monroe, long rumored to be too fragile for public life, now standing tall and resolute beside her husband. Andrew recovered quickly, his smile tightening. "Daniel, Elizabeth, what a pleasant surprise. We were just discussing your health concerns. Perhaps this isn't the appropriate venue." "This is exactly the appropriate venue," Daniel interrupted, moving to the table. "Since you've gathered the board to declare me incompetent and seize control of my company." "Our company," Andrew corrected smoothly. "And this isn't a hostile action. Daniel, it's for your own good, and the good of Monroe Enterprises." Rachel stepped forward, placing a flash drive on the conference table. "Before anyone makes decisions about leadership, I believe the board should review this evidence." "And who exactly are you?" demanded Victor Hargrove, one of the older board members. "My name is Rachel Monroe," she replied evenly. "I'm Daniel and Elizabeth's daughter." This announcement sent another shockwave through the room. Andrew's carefully constructed facade began to crack. "Impossible," he snapped. "Rachel Monroe died 23 years ago. This woman is an imposter, part of a scheme to manipulate my brother's condition. The DNA tests prove otherwise," Rachel countered, nodding to a board member to insert the flash drive into the projection system, as do the extensive records showing how Andrew orchestrated my kidnapping, my placement in an orphanage, and the subsequent fire that destroyed the facility's records. The projector illuminated, displaying the first of many damning documents: financial transfers, medical reports, and surveillance photos chronicling Andrew's decades-long conspiracy. "Furthermore," Daniel added, his voice hardening, "we have evidence that Andrew has been medicating me and my wife against our will for years, using Dr. Mercer's compounds to keep us disoriented and dependent while he positioned himself to take control." "Doctor." Mercer edged toward the door, but Jack Reynolds blocked his path, despite his injured shoulder. "Going somewhere, Doctor. I believe the board would be interested in your special pharmaceutical program." As the evidence mounted on screen, Andrew's composure evaporated entirely. "You don't understand," he snarled, addressing the increasingly horrified board members. "Daniel was never fit to lead this company. Our father made a mistake choosing him. I did what was necessary." "Necessary?" Elizabeth spoke for the first time, her voice quiet but commanding immediate attention. "You destroyed our family. You stole our daughter. You poisoned your own brother. And you've been secretly negotiating to sell Monroe Enterprises to Blackstone Global," Logan added, distributing copies of the confidential acquisition agreement he'd discovered in Andrew's files. Without board approval or shareholder knowledge, chaos erupted as board members examined the documents, their expressions shifting from confusion to outrage. Andrew watched his carefully constructed world collapse around him, his gaze darting frantically around the room until it fixed on Rachel. "This is all your fault," he hissed, lunging toward her with unexpected speed, fingers curled like claws. Logan intercepted him, protecting Rachel as Daniel restrained his brother with surprising strength. "It's over, Andrew," Daniel said quietly. "You've lost." Security personnel entered the boardroom, summoned by Diane, who had been monitoring from the hallway as they escorted a struggling Andrew and a resigned doctor. Mercer from the room, the remaining Monroe family gathered together, Daniel and Elizabeth flanking their daughter, Jack standing proudly beside his son. The board meeting continued for several hours, addressing the shocking revelations and restructuring the company leadership. Daniel was unanimously reinstated as CEO, with Rachel appointed as executive vice president and heir apparent. The Blackstone deal was unanimously rejected. As the meeting concluded, Rachel found herself standing at the panoramic window overlooking the city, the weight of the past few days, of her entire life, finally catching up to her. "Quite a view," Logan said, joining her. His color had improved since Dr. Faulkner's treatment, though exhaustion still shadowed his eyes. "Quite a week," she replied with a small smile. "How's Jack?" "Resting. The doctors say he'll recover fully." Logan's expression softened. "He wants me to come stay with him while he recuperates. Get to know each other properly." "You should," Rachel encouraged. "You've lost enough time already." Logan nodded, his gaze returning to the cityscape. "What about you? Planning to embrace the Monroe dynasty?" "I'm still processing it all," she admitted. 28 years thinking I was nobody special. And suddenly, I'm heir to an empire. "You were never nobody special," Logan corrected gently. "Even before you knew your name." Something in his tone made Rachel turn to face him fully. The connection between them had been immediate from their first meeting, antagonism blossoming into tentative alliance, then into something deeper neither had dared name while Andrew's shadow loomed over them. "What happens now?" she asked softly. "With us?" Logan hesitated. "That depends. There's still the small matter of you being a Monroe and me being, well, not different worlds." "Same fight, though," Rachel countered. "And I think we made a pretty good team." Before he could respond, Diane appeared with an update. Andrew and Dr. Mercer were in custody, cooperation agreements being negotiated in exchange for reduced charges. The board had released a statement affirming Daniel's leadership and acknowledging Rachel's identity as his daughter and heir. Your parents are waiting for you in Daniel's office, Diane added with a warm smile. They seem eager to begin making up for lost time. Rachel nodded, turning back to Logan. Will you be here when I'm done? I'll be around, he promised, the simple statement carrying the weight of commitment. 6 months later, the grounds of the former St. Hope's Home Orphanage buzzed with activity as construction crews put the finishing touches on the new Monroe Educational and Support Center. Rachel stood at the center of what would soon be a vibrant garden, blueprint in hand as she directed the placement of a fountain, a replica of the one from her childhood at the Monroe estate. It's coming together beautifully, Elizabeth said, joining her daughter. The past months had seen a remarkable transformation in Elizabeth, the haunted, medicated woman replaced by a vibrant, engaged mother and artist, who now taught weekly classes for the center's children. I wanted it to be perfect for the opening next month, Rachel replied, linking arms with her mother. A place that creates opportunities instead of stealing them. Daniel approached, looking years younger now that Andrew's medications had fully cleared his system. The board approved the additional funding for the scholarship program, he announced. 10 full rides to the university every year for children from the foster system. Rachel smiled, feeling a deep sense of rightness. Using her newfound position to create something meaningful from the pain of the past had become her driving purpose. Jack Reynolds supervised security for the new center, his experience and protective instincts now channeled into ensuring other children would never face what Rachel had endured. Though still reserved by nature, his joy at reconnecting with his son was evident to anyone who saw them together. As the sun began to set, casting golden light across the construction site, Logan appeared at the edge of the garden. He'd been overseeing the Monroe Enterprises legal team's restructuring, ensuring nothing like Andrew's manipulation could ever happen again. "Ready for our dinner reservation," he called to Rachel. She nodded, saying goodbye to her parents and walking toward him. As she approached, Logan took her hand, leading her to a secluded corner of the garden where the black-framed photograph, the one that had started everything, now hung in a place of honor. Beneath it, he knelt on one knee, presenting a simple diamond ring. "Rachel Monroe," he said, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. "I've spent my life searching for truth and belonging. I found both with you. Will you marry me?" Behind them, Daniel, Elizabeth, and Jack watched with tears in their eyes. 3 generations united not by secrets and manipulation, but by love that had finally found its way into the light. As Rachel said yes, pulling Logan to his feet for a kiss that promised a future brighter than their painful past, she knew that even the darkest shadows could be transformed by truth, courage, and the healing power of belonging.